So I'm just trying to figure out the mentality that goes into like a narcissistic cult leader right there. How do they convince people that this is correct? Like this is the right way to live? Like this it's kind of like my way or the highway type of situation and to accept that.
Yeah, the analogy I give would be like, Uncle Robert would have thought that he was more Christian than anybody else, more
Hmm.
enlightened, knew the gospel better than anybody else. So the analogy I would give, like if you miss hit a golf ball, Lee, like if you miss hit a golf ball by this much, okay, 100 yards down the fairway, it's way off to the left, way off to the right, nowhere near where you wanted it to go. Well,
Hmm.
Uncle Robert would tee up the right golf ball, if I keep this metaphor going. He would read the Bible, and he knew the Bible really well. But then with each and every verse, he would give it his unique and perverse spin. Every single verse, year after year after year that we would meet with him. So 5, 10, 15 years down the road, we're nowhere near what the gospel really means. We're really following
Hmm.
his gospel. So it was a very slow, subtle process that took a long time. And I have to add too, for me, I went along with it to get along with my wife. If I wasn't in love with Paige and you sat me down with Uncle Robert and we had a cup of coffee, after 15, 20 minutes, I'd be like, well, he's a funny guy, but he's nuts. He's kind of crazy. I followed him and I kind of slowly got beaten down and brainwashed because I didn't want to lose my marriage.
Hmm. So you mentioned how they use the Bible in their manipulations and whatnot. What role did faith play in getting you into it and also helping you escape this cult dynamic?
Well, it really is. It's the centerpiece with all of this. So, 20 years in, Uncle Robert and my wife were convinced that I was not a Christian, that I had lied, tried to convince them or fool them that I was a Christian. So, thus, I was a fraud.
Mm.
She and Uncle Robert then started to teach our 5 children that I was the devil, that I was Satan, I was a sorcerer, I was a bloodline or a sperm donor. And you probably know this, that a lot of what cult leaders do, and all cult leaders are narcissistic, but not all
Hmm.
narcissists are cult leaders.
Yeah.
But often cult leaders will act as a gatekeeper to God. Whatever faith you're part of, they will act as a gatekeeper to God. Where in the Christian faith, you don't need a gatekeeper. There's no intermediary between you and Christ. Well, for Uncle Robert, he always put himself in between. So I had to kind of get approval from him before I could be saved, which is wicked and unbiblical, right?
Hmm.
So for many years, I knew that Paige doubted my faith. I knew that Uncle Robert doubted my faith. And it was probably 17 years into our marriage that I finally caved and thought, well, maybe I'm missing something, right? Maybe all these years, and I grew up in a Christian home, went to church as a kid, I'd professed my faith, I'd been baptized, all before I met Uncle Robert. And I thought, well, maybe I'm missing something. And I wasn't. I was getting brainwashed, is what was happening. So on the way out, my faith was really the only thing that saved me. And that was through my friends and my family that was not involved in the cult. My parents and brothers and sister in laws. They recognized it right away, and they helped me see and thus recover.